Ladies and gentlemen, this is huge. This is a precursor to formal charges, prosecution of a number of people, including, I believe, Hillary Clinton. If you look at what Tulsi Gabbard has released, all of it points to Madam Secretary. She purchased the Steele dossier. Dossier was complete nonsense, a fabricated compilation of outlandish tales that was literally purchased by the DNC and the Clinton campaign to set up and frame Trump. They paid an FEC violation. New York went after Trump for something that wasn't an FEC crime. The FEC dropped the case. The FEC actually fined Clinton and the DNC. Now you get 37 officials, 37 intel officials, 37 people who potentially helped set up and frame President Trump with their security clearances removed. This is just a couple minutes ago. And then you have, of course, the removal of security clearances from a number of people per POTUS's directive. This is from the Director of National Intelligence, Gabbard, has taken steps to restore trust in the intel community by revoking security clearances for individuals who no longer have an active role, including Biden, Cheney, and Hillary Clinton. Now, today, they're getting ready. You have Andrew Bailey as the number 2 at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, along with Dan Bongino. And, of course, you have midterms coming up next year. They're going to indict a number of people before midterms. They have the evidence. The indictments are already written. And this is not like Rome wasn't built in a day. If you're the individual, and I used to be that type of individual as well, who says, well, nothing's ever going to happen. Nothing ever happens. Nobody's getting indicted. It's like they try to imprison Trump for hundreds of years based on pure nonsense. Every single Supreme Court precedent, the Supreme Court backed Trump in one case unanimously over the Colorado Supreme Court because Democrats continually made absurd leaps of logic. Hit subscribe. President Trump was set up and framed. Even the Supreme Court routinely backed Trump against the efforts of Democrats to imprison him. This is not a leap of logic. They set up and framed him. There's evidence. We knew this when it was happening. I was telling you this for the past 9 years. Hit subscribe, share this. This is important.
What that is it's the original intelligence, the original reasons that the counterintelligence investigation was started. Now, this is really important to us because a counterintelligence investigation uses the tools of our intelligence services that are not supposed to be used on American citizens. So we've long wanted to know, well, what intelligence did you have that actually led to this investigation? So what we found now, after the investigators have reviewed it, is that, in fact, there was no intelligence.
As a former federal prosecutor, my opinion is that declassifying them would not expose any national security information, would not expose any sources and methods. It would expose certain folks at the Obama Justice Department and FBI and their actions taken to conceal material facts from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court.
How involved?
So that was Devin Nunes, and then after the current Central Intelligence Agency Director, John Ratcliffe. In 2018, this is just a trip down memory lane. In 2018, we already knew. In 2017, I was talking about this. We already knew just based on BuzzFeed publishing a dossier that was complete nonsense. We then found out Clinton purchased the dossier. So did the Democratic National Committee. They cheated Bernie Sanders, took the money of his donors to purchase a dossier to create a new Cold War. A new McCarthy-era Red Scare. Okay, let's continue.
Was John Brennan
totally involved? He was totally involved. John Brennan was one of the architects, in my opinion. You look at Brennan, you look at Clapper, you look at them all. But ultimately, the president knew everything. The president knew everything. President Obama and Vice President Biden, they knew everything.
And Comey and Brennan and Clapper, they all were terrible, and they lied to Congress. They spied on my campaign, which is treason. They spied both before and after I won.
So it's not treason. They didn't give classified data to an adversary. That would be treasonous. What they did was break a whole bunch of statutes pertaining to conspiracy. They tried to set up and frame an innocent man. Donald Trump was an innocent man. Say that 1,000 times over. Morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrat who can't stand Trump, who ruins friendships because of Trump, who ruins Thanksgiving dinners and family get-togethers. So upset with Trump. It's like, well, you know what? Your political side literally created a Red Scare McCarthy era moment in American history for the past 10 years. Liberal Democrats, not all, there are a lot of great Democrats, there are a lot of wonderful progressives, people on the left, the left of the American political establishment or spectrum created a new Cold War, a new McCarthy era Red Scare. If you were in your 40s and 50s, you learned the McCarthy era was a bad moment in American history. Democrats recreated that because they cheated Bernie Sanders. They had private servers with top secret intelligence transferred onto them, where James Comey actually stated that classified data was being forwarded to Anthony Weiner. That's testimony in a segment prior to this one, or 2 segments prior to this one. You can check on this channel. To Dianne Feinstein. That's why he wrote the Comey letter that they set up and framed Trump. And what they're doing right now with Andrew Bailey at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the number 2 there, along with Dan Bongino, former Attorney General, they're getting ready to indict a whole lot of people. It'll take place, 5, 6, 7 months or within then, but it'll be before next year, before midterms. Okay, this is not rocket science. And so then Democrats, if they take the House, they'll want to find out why Trump went after his direct political rivals. And they'll just, believe me, if Democrats want hearings on why Clinton and Comey and others were indicted, Republicans, Tulsi Gabbard, President Trump, it would be Tulsi Gabbard, John Radcliffe, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Andrew Bailey would be more than happy to explain to the American people in televised hearings why, how, and why, and the laws that were broken when setting up and framing President Trump. There was not a shred of evidence that Trump had anything to do with Russia. If anything, it was the Democrats with the uranium deal, money, the foundation, all of that.
I started typing.
Joining me now is the woman herself, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Director, thanks very much for being here this morning.
Good morning, Maria. Thank you.
What was the most damning thing that you learned after looking through all of these declassified documents?
Maria, the implications of this are frankly nothing short of historic. Over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office, after President Trump had already gotten elected. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious it should concern every single American, because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. What we saw occur here, as the documents we released detailed, was that we had a sitting president of the United States and his cabinet and leadership team, quite frankly, who were not happy with the fact that President Trump had won the election, that the American people had chosen Donald J. Trump to be the next president commander, and over and over again to enact this years-long coup against President Trump.
Now, I know that Devin Nunes came out with the Nunes report and a lot of other reports after that to INDICT, but that's why they raided his house in 2022. Is that correct?
I don't have the details on the specifics of the Mar-a-Lago raid itself. Those are within the possession of the FBI. But there's no question in my mind that this intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered be published, which contained a manufactured intelligence document. It's worse than even politicization of intelligence. It was manufactured intelligence that sought to achieve President Obama and his team's objective, which was undermining President Trump's presidency and subverting the will of the American people. So yes, next week we will be releasing more detailed information about how exactly this took place and the extent to which this information was sought to be hidden from the American people, hidden from officials who would be in a position to do something about it.
So the fact that it was hidden means the conspiracy continues. There's no statute of limitations. Hit subscribe to this channel. A lot of indictments upcoming.